Coming up on 2.5 Geeks, we're going to wrap up all of CES in one little tiny package.
The bar has been set wicked fast.
It rocked in the benchmarks. We're going to up the ante a little bit.
Processing power, I kind of understand this. Hello, welcome to 2.5 Geeks. I'm Ayaz Akhtar alongside, or I guess in this particular configuration, beneath Dave Altavilla and Marco Chiappetta from Hot Hardware. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing, man?
Good. Dave?
Doing good. You are you're top in our mind. You're never beneath, brother.
Now, what's going on in this particular episode is that I have a portable setup, and we wanted to get you a CES episode out right now because we didn't have, this is news. You got to hear the news now. So just deal with the boxes, and next week we'll be back to normal, hopefully. But let's talk about some serious stuff that happened actually before CES. Marco, Intel finally unveiled Sandy Bridge. Now, this thing has been talked about, which seems like forever. We talk about it on the show a lot.
Yes.
What do we know now that it's official?
So we know everything, and we know that it absolutely kicks ass. So I took a look at the desktop side. Dave checked out the mobile stuff, and all of the questions everybody was asking prior to launch, we hope that we've answered. We took a look at CPU performance, system-level performance, motherboard performance, integrated graphics performance, video encoding performance, power consumption, tested everything, and the bottom line is that thing rocks.
So how does the actual integrated graphics, how is it comparing to, I don't know, a mid-level graphics card? I mean, is this something that can replace certain graphics cards or what? It
absolutely depends on what you're doing. So I kind of tested worst-case scenario, high resolution with high image quality, and compared to the current low-end DX11 cards from NVIDIA and ATI, like the GT430 and the Radeon 5550, the Intel graphics, it can't catch it. It doesn't quite match up. Now, if you lower the image quality settings a little bit, lower the resolution a little bit, it's okay. You know, I got almost 30 frames per second in some games. So for the large piece of the market where they don't care about, high-end gaming and high-resolution gaming, should be fine.
Is it going to be able to handle all the Aero Glass stuff easily? I'd imagine that's got to be easy.
Yes, and one thing that you would love, if you're using the integrated Intel graphics, it enables what Intel calls their QuickSync video encode engine, and holy crap, video encoding is super, super fast. It's unbelievable.
Really? Actually, that is very applicable to me. Now, Dave, there was also the mobile version of Sandy Bridge. How did that perform?
Actually, again, kicked ass, and we're using a lot of swear words here, but
it's after CES. We're all punchy.
Yeah, we're all in Vegas mode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, definitely impressive, no question about it, for a notebook chip. I tested actually a Core i7-2820QM notebook setup, or the processor in the notebook. That was the model number. And this thing is a 2.3 gigahertz processor that has Intel Turbo Boost capability across 4, 2, and single core modes. Quad core, dual core, and single core modes. In quad core, it will boost up to 3.1 gig. In dual core mode, it'll boost up to 3.3 gig, and across a single-threaded application, just one core now, it'll boost up to 3.4 gig. Now, this is all in a 2.3 gig stock chip. You'll get these instantaneous boosts of performance, overclocking, if you will, from Intel Turbo Boost, across, depending on how threaded your workload is. So, pretty impressive little feature there. And then the thing, when it's idling, and not being utilized at all, I tested a full 17-inch notebook that had an idle standby power of something like, not standby, excuse me, straight idle power, active desktop, doing nothing, at like 16 watts. So, talk about impressive. You've got a processor that scales up to 3.4 gig that is able to sit idle at 16 watts. And Marco's not joking. That QuickSync video technology that he talked about, the encode engine that's in this chip, it's also in the notebook chip as well. We're talking, being able to encode a video file that took, 15 seconds for the QuickSync technology in the Intel processor. A discrete graphics chip from NVIDIA took something like 50 seconds. So, Intel really did some hand tuning on this thing, and it's an impressive technology for sure.
That is very impressive. Let's move on to the bazillions of things at CES. Now, we're going to just cover the actual best of CES. Hot Hardware had this actually great write-up about what you should be checking out. Marco, what do you think was the best of CES?
So first, I need to qualify. We're PC geeks. So the best of CES from a PC geek's perspective. We saw a lot of the component stuff, a lot of the system level stuff.
Fair enough.
So I think I'll cover components. A lot of the things that we saw that from what we saw that stood out for me, definitely OCZ's upcoming Z Drive R3. You're talking about a PCI Express SSD with 4 SandForce controllers running in RAID. Thing pushes a gig per second, a gigabyte per second on reads, and 950 meg plus on writes. Wicked fast SSD. It's going to be awesome. So I also saw what I really liked because in a former life I was kind of an audio geek. Corsair has an awesome set of 2.1 speakers that were just released at CES. Now you hear 2.1, you don't get excited, but the vast majority of users don't set up like surround sound on their PC. So you've got a 2.1 speaker setup with satellites that have individual amps for the tweeter and the mid-range. You have digital crossovers, so only the right frequencies are going to each speaker, and a 4th-order bandpass sub with an 8-inch driver in it. Even on the show floor, which is a terrible environment for audio, this thing was thumping bass, sounded great. It actually looked awesome too. I really liked them. I'm hoping to get them in for review.
You think a 2.1 system is actually really that good? Is it that good?
Here's the thing. I'm gonna say yes because I've been to people's houses. They spring for a $400 5.1 speaker setup. They throw the rear satellites on the floor or the corner of their desk. They set it up terrible. You might as well not even have it. So if you're not going to do it right, or you don't have the correct shaped room to do it right, and you go with a 2.1 speaker setup, it better kick ass. And these are very good. And I think that they kick ass.
What did you say about the sub? A 4th order? What you were talking gibberish there?
So it's a 4th order bandpass sub, and the actual driver is an 8-inch sub. So it's basically a funky enclosure where the subwoofer, the driver, the speaker itself is within an enclosure, and it has resistance when it's both being pushed and pulled. It minimizes distortion, but limits the frequency range. So it's a lot of technical jibber jabber. It's just a kick-ass sub.
Tight bass, yeah. Right? Yeah.
Dave, what did you think was the best of CES? I mean, they had tablets, and then I think I saw some tablets.
I also want to talk motherboards when he's done. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. You've been rambling so long, we got to move on a little bit.
Yeah.
Welcome back to motherboards. Yeah, the tablet thing at CES, we all expected that. We were going to have tablets coming out of our ears, and we certainly did. And there were some good tablets and not so good tablets. And the best ones that I saw that I think the team will agree on were the Asus Slider and Transformer tablets. Asus had this array of tablets, of course, and the two that really struck our fancy were the Slider, which is a 10.1-inch tablet, Android-based, really slick tablet, beautiful capacitive touchscreen with a slide-out QWERTY keyboard. And when it slid back in and you put this whole little package together, it was, about the size of a super thin netbook. So really tucked away nice. It wasn't a fold sort of thing. It was a slide. So that was kind of cool. And then there was the Transformer, which was basically an Android-based tablet with a detachable keyboard. So you could just plug this sucker right into the keyboard and fold it up like a regular netbook. But if you wanted to just detach it from the keyboard itself, the QWERTY keyboard, which also was a trackpad, by the way, and all the good stuff that comes with a netbook keyboard, you can do that, and now you've got, traditional tablet experience. Again, Android, both were running Tegra 2 processors from NVIDIA, so real fast, good graphics there. And the other tablet I saw, which was pretty hot, was the Lenovo U1 Hybrid. Again, this is a detachable tablet, in a netbook form factor. The screen detaches and the tablet, it clicks into tablet mode, if you will. What's cool about it is we've got 2 processors in this thing. In the base is an Atom processor, Intel Atom processor, when you have it attached in, standard netbook mode. And then when you detach it, it kicks into was it a Snapdragon processor, Marco? Yeah,
You
1
know-
gigahertz Snapdragon, right?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I want to say
Yeah,
Snapdragon.
yeah. I was 1 gigahertz Snapdragon processor. I'm looking at the specs right now. When you detach it from the keyboard, the Snapdragon processor kicks in and Android kicks in. When it's connected to the keyboard, Atom processor's working with Windows 7 and a standard netbook setup. So pretty cool right there from Lenovo.
Now, if you guys remember the U1, it actually was shown off last year, but it got revised. It's running Android instead of a proprietary OS that was going to be on the tablet. So I'm actually excited it's coming out. It's actually going to hit the United States, I think, in June, actually, or China. China first, and then the United States. I'm not sure when that's happening. Marco,
Yep.
I know you want to talk about motherboards. Talk about motherboards.
So I'll be super quick because I know it's not terribly exciting, but Gigabyte released a new line just for gamers called the G1 Killer line. They have the sniper version, the Gorilla version, and the Assassin version. And what's really cool about the higher end versions of these boards, they have integrated Creative Labs X-Fi audio chips and integrated killer E2100 NICs. So
Nice.
you literally, you have a motherboard with Intel's X58 chipset. You throw a high-end graphics processor in there, and you already have great sound and the best NIC for gamers that people hated to buy standalone because it was so expensive. But now it's integrated right on the board.
All right,
so they're
that's
really cool. I have pics up, and in my little showcase of those boards, we also show our man Matt with a bunch of booth babes. So it's worth checking out just for that pic.
That's actually that is exciting. Actually, these are little changes that make like you don't have to keep adding like an X-Fi card or anything else. Your motherboard can actually have other things on the expansion ports instead of a NIC.
Exactly. So the lowest end G1 board has it has X-Fi audio, but the EAX is through software. The two higher end ones actually have the X-Fi chip on the board, so it's really nice.
Now, Dave, any notebooks you want to talk about?
No, you know what I'll talk about? I want to plug the standout handset of the show for me. I mean, there were some notebooks. There was a ton of Sandy Bridge notebooks going on out there from Intel, and some really slick form factors for sure. But yeah, the mobility in the tablets and the smartphones was just impressive this year. And we saw Motorola's Atrix 4G, which, believe it or not, is the first 4G phone to come to AT&T. Sorry about that. It is going to come to the AT&T network, but the phone itself was pretty slick. Tegra 2 processor, NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor. So again, super fast, really nice screen. I forget what the resolution was in the screen, but it was a super high res screen. I'd have to look that up, but at any rate, 4-inch screen, running Android 2.2. Currently, certainly supporting future upgrades. Also came with a laptop dock, so you could stick this thing into a little dock that would charge it, and then fire it up into, essentially a netbook mode, and attachable keyboard and mouse, and now you're running, a little netbook from your smartphone, and so pretty impressive.
When I saw that device, it reminded me a lot of the old OQO. I don't know if you guys remember that device. It was a slider, a mini computer that ran Windows XP, but this thing is running Android, and when you dock it, it actually launches Motorola's own application called WebTop, I think it's called, or something like that. So then you can actually control it with this laptop dock. And the weird thing is, after seeing the dock, because all it is it's a super thin monitor and basically a battery with a keyboard over it. So it makes like the Samsung 9s and all these like MacBook Airs, it makes them look fat. Because there's nothing to this. And the other thing about this laptop dock that I was kind of drooling over was the fact it never gets hot. It can't get hot because everything is going on the docked Atrix 4G in the back. So there you go. No more toasted legs. No more other toasted things.
Right.
I was quite impressed with the 4G. I got to play with that. I mean, the Atrix 4G a lot. I also heard it's coming to Verizon. So for those of you who snicker about the AT&T thing, just hang in there because it's going to get better.
Ayaz, which phone were you using out in Vegas? What did you have on you?
I had my MiFi plus iPod Touch.
Oh, so you didn't have... I have to say my AT&T phone was a brick in my pocket out in Vegas, man.
I heard some,
on that network. Wow.
I heard some really negative things out there. Nobody had AT&T coverage. I was using Virgin, which is actually running on the Sprint network, which wasn't too hot either. I'm just hoping, I'm waiting for the Verizon 4G MiFi. That's coming out. I think actually two of them are coming out. If you guys caught that announcement, Samsung is coming out with a hotspot, and so is Novatel. So that got buried in some other news that happened with Verizon recently. So don't even.
You're doing your homework lately there, Ayaz. Wow.
Well, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention. Between all the partying at CES, I actually learned about technology. I know it sounds a little crazy. Now, you know what? Let's talk about giving away stuff. Or at least I hear there's a contest coming up at Hot Hardware.
So, yeah, there's no details to disclose just yet.
Okay.
But, you know, there's been new CPUs released recently and new graphics cards, and those things are great at gaming, so they might end up in a system that we're going to give away.
So you
there you go.
Interesting. You can find out everything we talked about at hothardware.com or around the web at, let's see, dig.com/hothardware, twitter.com/hothardware, facebook.com/hothardware, and youtube.com/hothardwarevids. Is that everything?
Say that 5 times fast again, man.
I can't even say it 1 time fast. Thanks for watching, and we will see everybody next week. And don't forget, go to hothardware.com.
Yes.